Welcome to the Christy Jones Show. This is your go-to podcast for living life to the fullest. I am a life and empowerment coach, speaker, and business owner in multifamily real estate. I am a woman passionate about helping others build a life that they truly desire. We'll talk about how to make the most out of every day, from setting meaningful goals to embracing the present moment. So join us as we explore the depths of living a life that is full of joy, purpose, and satisfaction. Hey, my friend, welcome back to another episode of the Christy Jones Show. All the things to help you live your life to the fullest. And I'm excited for today's topic. It ties into the holidays. We just wrapped Thanksgiving. You're hearing this recording as we go into December, Christmas, all the fun that takes place in the month of December. And I want to talk about holiday and family plans and when our kids grow up to be adults. If you're a parent, I've got a message for you that you're going to want to hear today. And if you're like, Chrissy, I'm not a parent, I am the adult kid, then stay tuned. I've got something for you as well. So I've sat in a lot of Zoom calls, coaching sessions, social circles, having coffee with friends, a lot of different organizations that I sit on panels and we have discussions. So this has come up a lot. And I thought, you know what? This is so common and we need to talk about this more. So the holidays and family plans and how those start to look different if you're a parent and your kids are adults. And especially if you're in this is like your first few holidays. Maybe your kid has just turned 18. 19, 20, like they're just in that, you're in that really new phase as a parent of how that relationship changes and starts to look different. Like, here's the thing, parents, listen, moms, dads, you will forever be a parent. Okay. We are forever a parent. Once you have children, you've been a caregiver, you've been a guardian, you've taken someone in to your life. Okay, so you are a parent, you are forever a parent. And what changes is the age of that person. So you show up in one way, your like guidance, your communication style, just everything about you is a certain way when they're younger, right? You don't stay in that same, you don't operate in that same capacity for their entire life. You adjust and change and you show up differently as a parent as your child becomes an adult, becomes their own person, creates their own life. So given that you have, fluid conversation and you have a good relationship, with your adult child, you are forever have the ability to forever be in relationship with them. But the way you show up as a parent is entirely different. Because if you don't change it, hear me out. That's when friction happens. That's when problems happen. That's when, like, they don't need you to be the person that you were to them 20 years ago. They need you to show up in a different way. So let's just break this down and let's just talk about since we're going into December, I'm just going to choose to talk about the holidays. You can literally apply this though to so many different gatherings or traditions that your family might have. You can really take this wisdom and apply it almost anywhere, any time of year. All right. So right now I'm talking to the parents out there, the parents that have adult kids that are in that season of life. You're an empty nester, whatever label you want to put on it. So right now I'm talking to you, mom and dad of adult kids. First of all, I empty nested at the age of 42. I'm 53. I've been at it a while. And so I've also feel like that I went into that season with a lot of self-awareness, definitely not as an expert, but being very aware that this is a time that I need to see things differently. I need to view things differently. You have to remain flexible. I understood flexibility was key. And that change is good. And so at the age of 42, I was already like, I was thinking ahead. I knew not to bring the old me into the current time, if that makes sense. And then through the years, I've just gotten better and better and better at it. So if you are new at it, don't be scared. Don't let this overwhelm you. Trust me, this season of life is fabulous. It is absolutely fabulous. A lot of times I find as I'm sitting in these meetings, social circles, Zoom meetings, a lot of parents are fearful of that transition of becoming an empty nester. And so it's really a lot of the decisions that follow after that are really based out of fear. Fear of losing their identity, fear of they don't have purpose anymore, fear of that they're not going to have relationships with their kids anymore, fear that, fear. So a lot of times when you see these certain decisions that empty nester parents make, they're making that out of, honestly, if you want to just peel back all the layers of the onion, they're making it out of fear. Sometimes it's fear that now it's just me home with my spouse. And what does that mean? Like, sometimes people will say, I don't even know who that person is anymore. So realize that the reaction or the actions of a parent in the new empty nester stage, that a lot of that is fear of the unknown. Just when you peel back the layers of that, what I find is if you just want to sum it up into one thing, it's just fear. That's all it is. So know that if you're an adult kid listening to this, know that that's generally the driving force behind when a parent is really struggling with that transition. Okay. So both sides need to give each other some grace. And I remember actually, just a little side story that came into my head. I remember when my son was in college and it was, I think, his second year there. And I remember having a really lighthearted, fun conversation with him when I had gone up to visit. And I remember telling him, okay, I'm new at this and I'm really I know there's things that I get wrong. And I know there's things I get right, but I know there's times that you're probably like on the phone with me or you see a text and you just roll your eyes like, oh my God. And so I just was honest. I was just straight up. Like when I do things that, not that it's wrong, but let's say if you're operating in the old and you need to transition into what's new, I just asked him, I'm like, I'm aware of it and I'm trying to work through all of these changes and just let me know, like communicate with me. There's never anything that you can't say to me that it's not going to hurt my feelings. I would rather know, just tell me. And because I really wanted to have like that open communication, letting him know, like, you can just tell me, just be straight up. And I'm aware that I'm stumbling sometimes. And I'm going to not get everything right. But parent, it's really important. Let your adult kid know, look, for me, I'm like, this is the first time I've done this. I mean, it sounds pretty vulnerable, but I mean, it was true. It's like, I haven't ever gone through this before. I've never sent a child away to college. And I think I'm doing pretty dang good at it. I really do. I really did feel like I was doing good at it. And he said I was doing good at it. So I'm going to accept that compliment. But anyways, I was just honest. Like, I haven't done this before. And so, I'm being aware and cognizant. But there's a lot of things I told them that I really like about it. There's a lot that I loved about it. And I loved that we were each in a new season of life. So I was just honest. That's all. I was just honest. And, I think that a lot of times as parents, we want to seem like we have everything figured out. You and I both know, parent, that that's a bunch of bull crap and just not true. We don't have everything figured out. Think about all the years you were raising your kids. You did the best you could with the knowledge you had at the time, whatever that was. You did the best you could. Most people, I will say there maybe are some exceptions out there. There is, not everyone possibly. I take parenting seriously. If y'all haven't noticed, I love it. And I did take it really, really seriously. But I think most parents do. I think most parents, I like to believe that most parents understand the importance of the work that they're doing and the examples that they're setting. Now, yes, there are exceptions to that. I realize that. But in the context of a healthy parent-child relationship, I'm just would like to advocate and encourage you that open communication is important. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with saying, this is the first time I've done this. So there's going to be things I get right, and there's going to be things that I get wrong. And when those things, are a little or an off step, don't hesitate to let me know. Because everything can be corrected. Everything's fixable in my eyes. So anyways, just a little food for thought. I remember having that conversation, and I was just really honest and transparent. And I was like, here's the thing. I'm working really hard at this. And anyways, just be honest. Just be transparent. Transparent as a parent. And always remember that it's our actions that really matter. We can say all the things, but if you are not like leading by example and you're not doing it, then young kids are smart. Adult kids are even smarter. All right. They can sniff out the BS. So don't waste your breath. Don't waste their time. Just be honest. Anyways. Okay. So going into the holidays, here's what I want to keep front of mind, because these are the conversations that I've been hearing and coaching and in the Zoom meetings. Parents, empty nester parents, keep in mind, these are adult kids, all right? That they're very preoccupied in knowing what their holiday plans are. Their angst that they feel inside from not knowing possibly this year what their adult kids are doing for the holidays. Now, that is going to look different every season of life, right? So as an adult, if you have an adult kid, if they're single, if they're in a relationship, if they have children, if they are married with children, whatever the case may be, like there's a billion scenarios, okay? But what I find regardless, like and I'm talking about the adult parent or the empty nester parent, gets super preoccupied with what the adult child, how they're going to spend their holidays. So I just want to pause for a second on that. That is it. Now I've heard that said a million different ways in the course of these discussions I've sat in on and participated in, but that's the gist of it. Like, honestly, they just want to know. And not only do they want to know, but then here's where the angst comes in. Or that inner frustration. Angst is really not even a word I use that much. I don't know where that word came from, but inner frustration is that the adult parent, and again, I'm just going to cut, me, I'm just cutting to the chase. I'm going to say it like it is. We don't need to sugarcoat it. Here's the deal. Bottom line, and I did share this with someone in a Zoom call. Bottom line is the adult parent, or the empty nester parent just the reason they're having so much inner turmoil is because they just want their adult kid to do them what they want them to do. So it is about them. They want it. They want their needs met as an empty nester parent. So you're really putting a lot of weight and pressure, honestly, unnecessary pressure on your adult child, which child's not even the right word, but I don't know what else to call it. But you follow what I'm saying. Like, you're always a parent. They're always your kids. So, but they're adults. And so as an empty nester, I'm watching this one scenario in this call I was on. I just said, look, the reason you have so much inner turmoil is because you want to know that they're going to do what you want them to do, meaning how you want them to spend the holiday, where you want them to be, what you want that to look like. So you're making this about you. And I'd like to encourage, if that resonated, if that stung a little bit, I'm sorry. But it's got to be said, because I hear this over and over and over and over. And I don't know if empty nester parents really understand maybe the gravity of the pressure they're putting on their adult kids, the frustration that you're putting on them. You may not just be aware that it doesn't feel good to them. And so if you aren't aware of it, then hopefully this has kind of got your attention a little bit. And like I said, if this stings, if this message is like ticking you off, I'm sorry. But it's got to be said, because I hear this over and over. So I know this is going on by it's not just the 15 to 20 conversations I've sat in on recently. So if that's you and your joy is really tied up in knowing how your adult kids, where are they going to be this year, who they spending the holidays with, how's that going to look, where are they going to do Christmas, where they're doing Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the day after Christmas, all the things. Okay. If you are like really like holding that tight, like squeezing, like your grip on that's like a death grip. I mean, they can feel your energy. Okay. Even if you're not saying it, which is even worse. It's just like, it's that whole passive aggressive thing. Okay. We don't need more of that. We need to, so if you're finding you're gripping that so tightly, right? And you know what, at the same time, give yourself some grace. Like, you love your family, you love your kids, you probably just want it to be like it always was. But if I could just encourage you to lean in to what is new. Everything can't always be exactly as it was. And that is okay, because it opens the door to new experiences, new possibilities, new things that you might even love too. So remaining flexible through the holidays, remaining flexible with what your expectation is for, and since we're going into December, I'm just going to use Christmas as an example. What your expectation is. Stay flexible on that. And here's my next thing. Empty nester parent. Whatever their choice is, respect it and honor it. Respect it and honor it. You know, I do want to give credit to my parents. As at 23, I got married, started a family, had my son. And when that happens, that's a transition for a lot of families to then, the routine for the holidays looks a little different. My parents set such a great example on what that looks like. So I credit them a lot for why I feel like that transition of the whole, how that starts to look different as your kids grow up and start lives of their own and have families of their own. I really credit a lot of that to my mom and dad because they did a great job of modeling that for me, because it became all about, I never felt that pressure. I never felt like, I had to do X, Y, and Z, and it was a very fluid situation. All the years, honestly, all the years, even when Steve and I got married, and now we have 3 kids, and what that looked like and how we, did the holidays. I mean, I never felt that pull and that pressure. Like my parents always had the deal of like, okay, at the time I was the only one that had, children out of the 3 siblings. And so they would, come to, we would all just, wherever the kids are, it's kind of like always, wherever the kids are, that's where the grandparents would go, and they would fold in. And then, of course, I have a lot of extended family, my grandma, my great, all the things, but it all worked out. And if it looked different some years, that's okay too. That's okay too. And sometimes it's like proximity, like there's physical distance, like it's not possible, financially possible, logistically possible to, when people move to different, like my husband's mom, we were in Oklahoma, she lived in California. And then she had a lot of other extended family there with her. And what was cool, just talking about how that kind of shifted later in life, in the last, I don't know, few years that we've been in San Diego at Christmas time, we were able to go up there, and we had some great years that we went, and now we were spending Christmas with his mom and at my sister-in-law's house. And that was really cool. So I just pointing this out, that it's so important that we stay flexible through this process as an empty nester parent, because we get so fixated on how it should be that you lose sight of the big picture. So I'm hoping that this maybe brings a little clarity for yourself on that if you've been struggling in this a little bit. So whatever your adult child's choice is, respect it, support it, and honor it. I mean, you have got to allow them to create their life in a way that works for them. And you don't need to be in the voting decision of that. I mean, they're adults. They can handle it. They got it. And you're there if they want your opinion, they will ask you. We don't need to like shove our opinion right front and center. If they want it, they'll ask. That's where that kind of shifts as you become a parent of an adult child. You don't have to just freely give, like, this is what I need to do. This is what I think. This is what I think. They'll ask you. Wait for the invitation. It may come, it may not. Either way, it's fine. So whatever their choice is, respect it and honor it. And also remember that there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And not every year will always play out the same. Be okay with that. This is where we have to learn that flexibility is everything. And them knowing that they have your blessing, they have your support, that you're gifting them so much in that process. Don't make them feel like they have to explain it away to you, that they have to justify it to you. I mean, these are adults. We've set them free to live their life, to create their world. to really create the life that they want. And so allow them to do that. Allow them to create their own traditions. Allow them to, maybe they want to bring some of the things that you shared with them. Maybe they want to bring some of those traditions along. Maybe they don't. Either way, it's okay. I think the main thing that adult parents, that empty nester parents, like, were we ever parents and not adults? I don't know. One thing I think empty nester parents have to remember is, I just lost my train of thought because I thought that was a pretty silly comment to be a non-adult parent. But one of the things we have to remember is that we have to trust them. And we have to allow them space to create their lives. There's not a one size fits all. And also, you're teaching as you're an empty nester parent, and maybe now, let's say, what if you're an empty nester parent and now maybe your kids are starting families of their own, or have been doing it a while, have families of their own, okay? You know what you're doing now? You're leading by example. You're showing them how to enjoy the holidays, how to enjoy Christmas time when you're an empty nester, how to be supportive, how to want to express yourself in a healthy way, not in a guilt-tripping, passive-aggressive, not in that kind of way. Doesn't work for the long haul. It does not work for the long haul. That is not going to grow that relationship. That's going to make a wedge in the relationship. So you're leading by example. Okay, look at it this way. When you're going through, as you're an empty nester, and then the dynamics of your family, just the structure of your family changes. And depending on how many kids you have, the more kids you have, there's more adjustment, right? There's, other people that come into the family. You welcome new family members in, which is such an amazing thing. And then they may choose to have children. And then now they are parents and they've got all their things that they're wanting to do for their family. So you need to be more like you're on the support team. All right. That's how you kind of look at it. You're there to lead by example, to show them how to have a healthy mindset as you get older, how to have a healthy outlook on the holidays as you are an empty nester parent. This is your opportunity to be a great example for them, so that one day when they're there, they can look back and say, I really like how my mom did that. I really like how my dad did that. After all of us were gone and we were doing our own thing. And that felt good. I like how my dad handled that. I liked how my mom handled that. Okay. So this is your opportunity. Quit focusing on what you're losing, what's changed, what isn't like it used to be. It's not like it used to be. It's not supposed to be like it used to be. Did you hear that? It's not always supposed to be like it used to be. People grow up, they create their lives, they have hopes, dreams, all the things that you really wanted for them back when they were small. Those prayers you said at night. Well, all of that could be coming true. And then you're like, oh my gosh, wait. You make it, when empty nester parents make it about them and not about the family or the new life or the new situation that their adult kid is creating for themselves, when they make it about them, that's where the strife comes in. So look at this time as an opportunity for you to model for your adult kids what it looks like to move through the holiday season as an empty nester, loving your family, being there, doing the things, interacting, being involved in all the things that you're able to, but giving them the freedom to create their life, create their holiday they want the way they want to do it. When you hold the reins too tightly, they feel it. So loosen the grip, give them some space to figure out how they want to do this time of year in their own life. And again, depending on where they're at in life is and what's going on in their life, it's going to look really different for each and every one of them. And that's okay. Let me now talk to the adult kids. If you're listening to this, podcast, because I actually know my demographics and I know there's a lot of you that listen to the show. So now that you sat through that you're probably like, you maybe, let me pay attention, come back, quit multitasking, come back to the conversation. I'm talking to you now. If you are an adult child and you are in that time of life where, you're creating your own plan for how maybe you have someone else in your life, you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you're a guy, you have a girlfriend, you're newly married, or maybe you've been married for a while and this is just like an in a relationship and maybe you have kids but you're still have this friction going on with I call it your base family. And it can happen with like both partners. They each are getting the pull like from both sides, regardless of what season of life you're in. As an adult, you are somebody's child, but you are an adult and you stress over this time of year because your mom is going to make that phone call and be like, what are you doing this year? What are the plans for Christmas? If that's you, listen up. Okay, first of all, and trust me, in these conversations that I've been involved in the last probably 45 days, I hear you guys as well. I hear you saying like, oh God, like here, I'm going to get that phone call. What's the plan? You know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't need to over explain that because if you're listening to this by now, you're listening because you already know you're in that situation. So I don't need to tell you what you already know. So if you're an adult child and the holidays are coming up and you're just like, I hate this time of year because I just get like the guilt trips and and then I have to explain, or I do things just to keep everybody happy. Here's the thing. Go back. If you didn't listen to what I just said to the empty nester parents, go back and listen to that. That might help you a little bit. Understand that a lot of the reasons that empty nester parents do that is out of fear. And it's fear, and it's all things wrapped up about them and not necessarily about you. And I know they didn't want to hear that, but it's true. And so I would say possibly especially if your parent is new at this transition, try to give them as much grace as possible and see and from their perspective that they're going through change and maybe they're not communicating it in the best way. Now, for you, here's the thing. You have to decide what's right for you because you are an adult and you are on your own and you have to start making some choices for your life. And it is good to communicate those in a healthy way to your parent. And the type of relationship you have. So I'm not going to tell you I'm going to let you either. I do offer coaching, and that is a much more personalized conversation that needs to happen. But just as a blanket statement, I would say Don't avoid the topic. We got to have tough conversations sometimes and just express in a kind way that I know this is hard for you, mom or dad, but this is what I want to do this year. And this is what you just have to say it. You just have to say it. You just have to own it. And maybe there's a way you can make it all work. Maybe there's not. I don't know. Maybe you are able to spend the holidays together. Maybe you live in close proximity. I don't know. But what I'm saying is you got to just have a simple conversation about it. But don't allow yourself to be made to feel guilty. Realize that any conversation you have with someone when they are coming at you and lashing out has that has to do with them. Okay. You cannot internalize all of their comments or statements. So don't allow yourself, if you're allowing yourself to feel guilty about it, realize, take ownership from that. You're allowing yourself to continually feel guilty. So you're either going to decide to stop feeling guilty or you're not. This is where your mindset comes into play. There's a way to advocate for yourself, and there's a way to communicate for how you're feeling and what you'd like to say. And timing's important, the way you say it, tone of voice, all of that. But you really truly you need to spend the holidays in a way that feels good for you, to honor, especially, and I see this with like people that are starting in a relationship or a marriage or starting families, like things start to look different. And so you are now creating your own family, your own traditions, your own things. And yes, spending time with family is a really big part of that for so many people. But it's not just about you. You've got to like meld your whole world is changing, right? And so you work with your partner on that. You two figure that out. What you don't need is the guilt trip and the pressure from all the outer noise. So try to really just, try not to let too many outside influences really beat you down. If it's just you, then listen to that inner voice inside. If it's you and a partner, then you two communicate. Figure out what works for the both of you. How you both can feel like you're creating and doing the holidays that you want, but then you both are whatever traditions are important to you, whatever family members that you like to see at that time, that you're able to do that in a different way, that you both are on the same page on. And I have to say, again, in these circles that I have sat in, it's generally like, it's the older parents, people like me, empty nester parents, that are the ones putting a little too much pressure on everybody for what you should do. So once you're an adult, you get to create and do it the way you want to. That is one of the beauties of growing up and creating the holidays in your home the way that you like. So my advice is just stay true to you. Stay true to you and know that your choices and your decisions aren't always going to make everyone happy. And you have to be okay with that. You have to learn to be okay with that. You have to learn to know, it is okay if you decide that your family is staying home you're not going to, maybe, I don't know, maybe you usually go to Aunt so-and-so's house on Christmas Eve and Uncle so-and-so's or Grandpa so-and-so's house on Christmas Day. And now you have your own family going on. So you decided we're going to stay home and we're going to do Christmas. And then we'll see, maybe you are going to venture out and see that person the day after Christmas or whatever. You get my drift. Like, I don't need to give you a schedule right now, but my point is that you just have to figure out what's going to work for you, what feels right for you guys right now. If you're creating a family, you get the opportunity to create that and experience that in the way that you want to. So, empty nester parent, you can't, like I just told the adult child who's really struggling with wanting to do what they want to do, but they know they're going to get the backlash from from the parents, because it's change and it's maybe different. Just like I told them, and my communication to the adult child is, you can't get drug into that. My communication to you as the empty nester is, you have to allow them space. So loosen the grip, give them space. That's such a good gift. That is a Christmas gift. Package that up and put a bow on it, and just space. Here, I'm giving you some space. So know that the holidays, I get it. They can be tricky. A lot of different feelings wrapped into it, a lot of different emotions, a lot of opinions. You should do this, you should do that. But for the adult child that's listening to this, get used to a lot of people having opinions about your life. If you haven't experienced that yet, there will always be people that have an opinion of what you should do. Now, the people that are closest to you, that know you, that know your values, I mean, you want to hope that those individuals are really like looking out for your best interest. They love you. Their opinion is not one of self-serving. You would hope. So give people the benefit of the doubt. A lot of times they're just trying to be helpful. But to the adults, to the young adults who are starting to create traditions on their own of how and what they do for the holiday month, know that now is not the only time in your life where you're going to get bombarded with people's opinions of what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So you have to just kind of learn to get comfortable with that and find a way to navigate that. And trust me, you get better at it as time goes on. So, all right. Well, that is my food for thought, my friend, on going into the holidays and family plans and when our kids grow up to be adults. That's my food for thought on how to look at it, what to do. Maybe I've sparked something that you hadn't thought of before that you're thinking you might adjust this year. 9 times out of 10, people do things. They're not doing them to harm other people. They're not trying to make your life, I've heard someone say, my mom and dad, they're just trying to make my life a nightmare. They're probably not intentionally trying to do that. And I agree. In this one story, it was pretty crazy, but they're not intentionally, but that's where you just have to communicate and you have to let them know, like, that's not going to work for me this year, but maybe we could make this. How does this idea sound? Anyways, I just want to emphasize that 9 times out of 10, people aren't trying to destroy, just ruin my life. No, they're not trying to ruin your life, but they probably are holding the reins a little tight. They need to give you some space to create your life. That might be true. But there are many ways that we can go through this time of year and enjoy it And if you're an empty nester, I encourage you to look at maybe some of the things that you're doing and you don't realize you're doing. It's always good to self-evaluate. And if you are an adult child who is in that transition time of or you've been at it a while and it's still a struggle on how you spend the holidays. You're doing things because you feel like you have to, not because you want to. Like a lifetime of that, my friend, is not going to feel good. You're just going to be really resentful one day. And you don't want that. You don't want to be resentful towards people that you really love and care for. So decide what works for you right now. What works for your new situation, maybe your new family. What works for you in that environment and makes you feel good for the holidays, of how you want to choose to spend the holidays, who you want to spend it with, the traditions that you want to do, some that you want to bring along, some traditions you want to carry along, some that you want to start on your own. All right. Well, I hope this conversation's been helpful. I hope it's just at least kind of, piqued your interest in, yeah, I have been thinking that and I've been dreading it. And now I'm just going to have a conversation about it. So I hope it's given you some talking points and some insight on how you can now go through the month of December with less stress, less inner turmoil, and really feeling good about the decisions that you make. Empower yourself to make decisions that really work for you and where you're at in life right now. All right. I will see you guys next week. Go make the rest of your day awesome. We'll see you soon.